Every story has a thread. I'm Madeline Zarkoski with the PCTV's WOW Report with What's On this week. Today we're going to be talking with Peggy Lee Clark, the Executive Director of PAID, and the wonderful reporter Evan Brandt. Stay tuned to see how their stories connect. Hi everyone, I'm here today with the wonderful Peggy Lee Clark. I was wondering if you could start out by talking a little bit about what PAID is and what you do there.
So I'm the executive director of Pottstown Area Industrial Development. So what we are is we are the lead economic development entity within the borough of Pottstown. So for the 5.5 miles of the borough, we go and look for businesses that we want that will improve the community to come in and improve the tax base, as well as offer workforce opportunities. We also support the businesses that are already here that are interested in growing here.
Well, that is wonderful. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what was going on with the local businesses during COVID, if you noticed that they had to change some of their business models to thrive and work under the pandemic.
So everybody did. So I would say that the first thing was just really kind of shock, right? When the shutdown came, everybody just sort of came to a screeching halt and started scrambling, right? There was a lot of panic, there was a lot of misinformation out there, and just trying to figure out how to operate was really what everybody was trying to get through. I think after those initial few days, then people started to say, okay, we've got to roll up our sleeves, and how are we going to continue to operate, or how are we going to change our operating model? So in the cases of restaurants, obviously there was a lot of to-go, being able to operate in that aspect of feeding people, not traditionally coming into a sit-down restaurant, but being able to get food out, to-go cocktails, then moving things out to the street. Could we have outdoor dining? Those types of things. Service industries. The other businesses that were operating were those businesses that were looked at as essential businesses. They had traditional kind of enclosed work areas. The public doesn't come into those, right? So if there had to be tweaking in their manufacturing process, one such business, ECT, what their main business focus is putting, they do turbine wash for airplanes and commercial airlines. And what they needed to do was get access to a different type of alcohol to partner with a group to be able then to make commercial grade sanitation solutions. So they really flipped, right? And then were able to keep operating and to keep their workforce going. Then there were other businesses that, because of government contracts and business that still had to go on, they were flourishing, right? So it was a very different tale from both spaces.
Well, that's great that they were able to do that. And I know you guys were definitely really involved with these businesses during these times, and I know you were really supporting them. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about, in detail, what you did with those businesses to help them.
So mostly we interpreted government speak for them, right? So we tried to get correct information and distill it down to what they really needed to know. One thing that I know that the government is really good at is using a lot of words that people don't understand. They are not complicated, but they make everything complex, especially to the private sector. So we really were the interpreter. So we spent a lot of time in getting correct messaging out, what was going to be useful to them, distilling what they needed to know versus all of this other information that was coming out, and really trying to make the connections to the agencies that could help them. We also partnered with Pottstown Area Health and Wellness Foundation. We were able to give grants to the business community. So for small businesses,
That's
that was
great.
really important.
Mm-hmm.
We helped in facilitating with the county grant program and making sure that our business community was aware and that they were getting their applications in and providing information and support to that. So it was really tapping into the resources, helping businesses understand the information and then tapping into the resources that were available.
Yeah, well, that's great. And I kind of want to end our conversation on a positive note on what the people of Pottstown can look forward to with the infrastructure and everything you're doing. So I was wondering if you can talk a little bit about the big projects that you're working on and what we can see in the future.
Yes, so right behind me, there is a lot here that is going to be the new Pottstown Sustainability Energy Plant.
Okay.
Initially, when they brought the idea to us, we were looking at maybe 55 jobs. We're up to 100 jobs. And so they're working through the development process right now. They've just been through the process with the Department of Environmental Protection as far as some permitting issues and clearances. And so they will be building. And the beauty of that is it's also green technology. So it's looking towards the future. So what the sustainability, they take what they call clean feedstock, which are clean pallets in the food industry like Nestle's and Heinz. They wrap pallets with shipments. And all of that is clean feedstock. So what they do is they take that wrapping, the cellophane, the pallets, they feed it into these chambers at very, very high heat. And then what comes out at the end is a product called biodiesel, which is all renewable energy. So then that will be shipped off site to be used in multiple vehicles, you know, other types of vehicles outside of the Pottstown area. So that is a huge win for Pottstown and the headquarters being here. So it is a long development process. Big projects never go quickly. So that is one. We have the Mercury Hotel, which is being developed out of the old Mercury adaptive reuse. It's the Mercury building that produced a newspaper for years and years within the town, and that's being turned into a boutique hotel. That was Brandt. We have a life sciences incubator hub at the corner of High and Hanover. That's going through design phase right now, and we are looking for tenants. So anybody out there that's listening that would like to have a research lab available to them right here in Pottstown, we have that for biopharma. So those are some of the top level things that we're looking at. We're taking a lot of the older properties, manufacturing properties, and turning them into something new, remediating them, doing a lot of environmental work with the Redevelopment Authority of Montgomery County, and working through those processes. So I see nothing but positives happening for Pottstown. Some days you think things will never happen, but we have so many great community assets here, and with being our location that we are at 422 and 100, touching on all three counties, we really have an opportunity here.
Well, that's great. I know these are all things that the people in Pottstown are looking forward to. Thank you so much for talking with us today.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm here with Evan Brandt today. How are you doing today?
I am fine. It's a lovely day here in Pottstown.
Good. I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about what you do for the Pottstown Mercury. I know you have a lot of responsibilities here.
Yes. Well, I am the municipal reporter for the Mercury. I am one of a reporting staff of 1.5. We have another reporter who works in the county courthouse down in Norristown, but he writes for other papers that are owned by the chain that owns us as well as us. And so my responsibility is essentially anything that happens in Pottstown and the surrounding 20 or so towns.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. And I know that you were reporting during the crazy times of the pandemic, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what that was like being a reporter under the pandemic and those circumstances.
Well, when the pandemic hit, essentially we were just writing one story with hundreds of facets. Almost everything was about the pandemic. Obviously, it was a worldwide, so it was a world story that was happening in everybody's backyard.
Of course.
And so our digital circulation went through the roof when the pandemic hit, because everyone around here was trying to get information about what was open and what was closed. You know, the New York Times might tell you whether or not the pandemic started in Wuhan, but the New York Times is not going to tell you where the food pantry is, or whether or not you can go pay your taxes at Borough Hall, or whether your favorite restaurant is open.
Yeah.
So that's how things started out, and then we started to do some deeper impact reporting. Some of the nursing homes in the county were seeing extremely high coronavirus rates and deaths, and that was particularly true in the Veterans Home outside Spring City. And so that's not the sort of thing that shows up on someone's website or you get a press release about. That's something a story that you have to go and get. So that's how I spend a lot of my time.
Yeah. And I know that you mentioned the New York Times, and I know they did an article on you.
You mentioned the New York Times. Oh,
yes.
I did. Okay, yes, you're right, I did.
And that was really exciting to read. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what that was like, doing that story with them, and all about that.
Well, it started out as a result of something that I did to protest the ownership of the company. So the Mercury is owned by a chain called Media News Group, which is in turn owned by a New York hedge fund called Alden Global Capital. And they are now known nationally as the destroyer of newspapers. So I was speaking out quite loudly about that, and as a result of that, the reporter from the New York Times contacted me, along with a lot of other reporters. It was initially actually going to be a television program, one slightly longer than this one's likely to be. But as it turns out, and as you'll discover in the editing room, I don't look very good on camera, so that instead became an article written by the extremely talented Dan Barry, who I'm pretty sure could make anyone look good.
Yeah, well, that was really awesome to read. And the last thing I wanted to ask you, we talked with Peggy Lee Clark this morning, and she was talking about the plans for PAID. And one of the plans was to transform this Mercury building we're standing right in front of into a new hotel and restaurant. That's one of their plans. So I was just going to ask you, working for the Mercury, what's your take on that?
Well, I'm glad the building's being reused, because I don't think it's good for downtown Pottstown to have big, empty, vacant buildings. I am, of course, sad that it's no longer a newspaper building and that I don't work with colleagues anymore, and instead I work in my attic, which is a lonely experience. As I understand it, it's going to be a boutique hotel and a whiskey bar.
Yes.
And so my only feeling on the subject is that I better be sure to get the first dram of whiskey that they serve.
Well, you'll go and it'll be a totally different experience.
It will.
Well, it was so great meeting with you today. Thank you so much for talking with us.
Sure thing.
Hi everyone, we're here today at the Schuylkill River Trail and I'm speaking with Tim. It is lovely weather out here and I just wanted to ask you a quick question about your bridge project.
Yeah, sure.
I know all of the people of Pottstown are very excited and looking forward to this. I know it's connecting Parkerford to Pottstown. Can you talk a little bit about this and what we should expect?
Yep, absolutely. There's actually a couple of really exciting projects happening right now on the trail. One of them is the project from Parkerford to Pottstown, which Chester County is overseeing. They're building it right now, about 3 miles of trail from Parkerford up to Pottstown. They're working on that now. It should be done at some point later this year. And then the bridge project that we're overseeing is actually in Berks County, crossing Route 724 at the Monocacy crossing.
Okay.
It's been one of the it's a more difficult road crossing with some steep entrances for bikers and walkers. And this has been a project long in the making. It's currently under construction, and that too will hopefully be done sometime late summer, early fall.
Yeah, so that we can enjoy it this summer.
Exactly.
That's exciting.
Yep.
And I know you guys also have some events coming up. Can you talk a little bit about those? I know you have Pedal and Paddles, so many exciting events.
Yeah, we've got a couple big events. Our biggest event every year is our annual Schuylkill River Sojourn, which is a week-long kayaking and canoeing event that happens on the Schuylkill. Typically that happens the first week in June. We'd be doing it right now if we were on our normal schedule, but we postponed things until August. So that event starts July 31st. We also have a bike ride called Ride for the River. It's a one-day bike ride in partnership with Sly Fox Brewing Company. That's always the last Saturday in September.
Okay.
And then we have a series of events throughout the summer called Pedal and Paddles, and it's a great way for people to be introduced to both the Schuylkill River Trail as well as the Schuylkill River. So you bike about 5 miles on the Schuylkill River Trail, we give you lunch or dinner, we have an educational program, and then you kayak 5 miles back to the point that you started at. So it's a really great way for people to get out and recreate on the river and the trail. There's about 5 or 6 of those a year. And for all of our events, you can just go to schuylkillriver.org, and all of the event information is on our website.
That's great. So if you want to get involved with these events, you can just check out the website and sign up there? Or
exactly.
How does that work?
Yep. Everything is right through our website.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This is Tim, and we are very excited to be here today.
Thanks
Have
so
a
much.
great day.
Yep. Take care.
Hi everyone, I'm Madeline Zarkoski with PCTV's WOW Report with What's On This Week, and we're here today talking about graduation. This is a very special time of the year for our high school seniors, and we want to congratulate all of those who are graduating in the class of 2021. The high school with the smallest graduating class in our area this year is Pottstown High School with 162 graduates. Next, we have PJP, Pope John Paul High School, with 204 graduating students. Then is Potts Grove High School with about 250 graduating students. Then we have Owen J. Roberts High School with 383 graduating students. Second to top is Boyertown High School with 502 graduating students. And the high school with the most graduating students this year is Springford High School with 654 graduating students. We would like to congratulate all of you for graduating in the class of 2021 this year. Thank you so much for watching this week's edition of PCTV's WOW Report. If you have a story that you want featured, please contact me at madelinezarkoski@comcast.net.